Good evening, Garden City. I'd like to call to order our regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, October 28th at 7 p.m. Our first order of business is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members that have given their lives while defending our country. Would everybody please stand? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Miller, you want to take the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Walker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jacobs.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch.
Here.
Councilmember Squires.
Here.
Councilmember Earl.
Here.
Councilmember McCarge.
Here.
Councilmember Kerwin.
Here.
I'd just like to remind everybody at the table and our residents out there that this is Councilwoman Pat McCarge's last meeting. She has decided not to run for a re-election. So enjoy your last meeting, and we wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have the approval of the agenda.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move for the approval of the agenda for Monday, October 28th, 2019 at 7 p.m.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. Any comments from the table, from the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that passes 7-0. I'm going to move to the podium for recognition for the American Legion. Can I have Commander Robert Shaw come up, please? How you doing, sir? Very well. We have a resolution of recognition adopted by the City Council, City of Garden City, October 28, 2019, honoring the American Legion. Whereas the American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 as a wartime veterans organization based on the four pillars of care for veterans, national security, Americanism, and children and youth. And whereas the American Legion was founded on September 16, 1919, to honor the sacrifice of those who serve by enhancing the lives of our veterans, military, and their families, both at home and abroad. And whereas the American Legion organization includes over 13,000 posts around the world and has more than 2.2 million wartime veteran members. Whereas the members of the American Legion are dedicated to upholding the ideals of freedom and democracy while working to make a difference in the lives of fellow Americans. And whereas the American Legion built a legacy on such accomplishments as leading the way to create the U.S. Flag Code, helping start the Veterans Administration, drafting and getting passed the GI Bill, which transformed the second half of the 20th century, and helping veterans receive benefits for health care conditions they suffered based on their honorable service. And whereas the American Legion is celebrating its centennial in 2019, Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Garden City do hereby honor the American Legion for 100 years of service to our country. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of the City of Garden City on this 28th day of October, 2019. Congratulations to all of you. God bless. Let's do a photo op in the center, council. You want to come down? Council loves photo ops. All the American Legion guys, come on.
Short guys up front?
Can I have the American Legion Auxiliary President Karen McAdams come up here? Hi, Karen. Resolution of recognition adopted by the City Council, City of Garden City, October 28, 2019, honoring the American Legion Auxiliary. Whereas American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 as a wartime veterans organization based on the 4 pillars of care for veterans, national security, Americanism, and children and youth. And whereas American Legion Auxiliary was also founded on November 10th, 1919, to support the American Legion and honor the sacrifice of all those who served by enhancing the lives of our veterans, military, and their families, both at home and abroad. Whereas the members of the American Legion Auxiliary are dedicated to upholding the ideals of freedom and democracy while working to make a difference in the lives of fellow Americans. And whereas members of the Garden City American Legion Auxiliary have been very instrumental in special events and activities throughout the community since its founding. Whereas American Legion Auxiliary is celebrating its centennial in 2019, now therefore be resolved that the City Council of Garden City do hereby proclaim November 10th, 2019 as the American Legion Auxiliary Centennial Day. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of the City of Garden City, Garden City, Michigan, on the 28th day of October, 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's do a photo op and get all the auxiliary up here, if we can. We'll go over here to the center. And real quick, if you're a veteran in this room right now, would you please stand? Thank you for your service. Here's the covers for both of these. One of them's torn. Okay, we're going to move on to item 6, comments from county and state officials. Mr. Peterson from State Representative Jewel Jones's office.
It's a nice coincidence. We're actually introducing a package of bills.
Mr. Peterson, you can turn that towards
Okay.
us now.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. It's on wheels.
We're actually introducing a package of bills next week in support of veterans. Our offerings, a couple, one would be to provide license plates to veterans with no fees and to designate their service branch. And the other one, which I think is really important, addresses the whole issue of veteran suicide. We introduced the bill actually during the last session, but we're hopeful that we'll get a lot of support this year. Basically, what it does, it creates a commission to study the causes of suicide and hopefully provide a lot of measures to try to prevent it. That's really all I had. There were some other technical bills, but those are the important things we're doing.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody here from the county? Okay, we have Oscar here from Representative Talib. You're all set? Okay. And I believe that's it then. Okay, we'll move on to item 9, our public hearing.
Actually, item
I'm
7.
sorry, what did I skip? I'm sorry, community events, I skipped right over it. Mr. Miller, you want to talk about the Community Shred Day?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I just wanted to give a reminder to the residents of the community that this Saturday, November 2nd, from 10 until 1 p.m. is Shred Day at the City Hall parking lot. Please remember to line up and enter off of Block Street of the back lot and then come through. We're also going to be doing a prescription drug disposal for all pills only. And we will be collecting for the home pantry also. So when you're going through the line, bring some non-perishable food items, toiletries, or cash donations for the home pantry, and we'll make sure that they get there. Unfortunately, I have to announce that the mobile Secretary of State will not be able to be here on that day. So they were having problems with the mobile office. We will make sure that they're here for the next one, but if you were planning to come for that purpose only, unfortunately, they won't be able to make it. But again, this Saturday, November 2nd, from 10 to 1 in the City Hall parking lot, bring your items for shredding, and we'll be able to take that, pills, and then also any non-perishable food items.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to call up Monica Fulton from the Community Resource Department.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just a couple of events coming up that I wanted to let everybody know about. On Wednesday, November 6th, the Community Resources Department is sponsoring a community forum, Know the Facts About Vaping and Youth. That'll be Wednesday, November 6th from 6:30 to 8. I want to thank our police department, our community coalition, Family Resource Center, our school district, and the Western Wayne Family Health Center. They'll be on hand to answer questions and give everybody the facts. And then on Wednesday, November 13th at 6:30, Comerica Bank is providing a workshop called Managing Your Credit Score During the Holidays. This will be again at 6:30 at Maplewood Center. There will be some light refreshments provided and giveaways courtesy of Comerica Bank. So you can call and reserve your seat at 793-1857, but walk-ins are welcome as well. And these are all both free. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have communication. I'm going to talk about the roads. To the residents, we promised you if you passed that road bond millage that we would fix the roads, and that's exactly what we're doing over the 5-year period. This was the end of year 1. Still a little bit more work out there, but I want to pass on what was accomplished in the first year of the road work. We have over 100 miles of side streets in Garden City, and we either replaced, rehabilitated, or did preventative maintenance or completely replaced 21.55 miles this year. On the concrete reconstruction projects, we did Maplewood from Hubbard to Merriman. We did Gilman from Maplewood to Cambridge. We did Sharon Drive from Maplewood to Elizabeth. This was complete removal of existing road and replacement of new concrete road with curb and gutter, new drainage facilities, installation of sidewalks where gaps were at, and replacement of sidewalk ramps that were not ADA compliant. ADA is American Disabilities Act. So if they weren't compliant, those were done as well. And the installation of new water mains. That was 1 mile of new concrete streets at a total cost of $3,040,000. That's the water mains, sidewalks, the road, everything. Now we move on to asphalt reconstruction. These projects involve the pulverization of the existing asphalt roadway and injecting cement into the pulverized base, followed by the placement of new asphalt roadway improvements to reestablish open drainage ditches and additional storm sewer facilities along with installation of sidewalks where gaps existed and where sidewalk ramps were did not meet ADA compliance. New water mains were also installed along John Hawk and Leona Avenues. This was done at Bach Avenue from Cadillac to Hubbard, Donnelly Avenue from Garden to Harrison, Garden Avenue from Bach to John Hawk, James Avenue from Hubbard to Moeller, John Hawk Avenue from Farmington to Vinoy, Leona Avenue from Moeller to Merriman. This was 1.25 miles of new asphalt at a total cost of $2,350,000. James and Donnelly still have to have their top coat and drive approaches on Leona, Bach, and John Hawk, and hopefully that happens this week or early next week. We also hold the contractors accountable. You'll notice there's a on the new Maplewood, right in front of the Maplewood Center, down more in front of the soccer field, there's a bad section. They're going to be cutting that section out and replacing it. And that's because it's not up to snuff. So, and then on Lathers, that was done, 2 years ago? There's a section that is lifted. It's an inch high, and when you go over it, it's a bump. They're going to cut that section out and report. This is all taken care of under warranty. So we do inspect these, and we do hold them accountable when their work is subpar. Okay, asphalt resurfacing. We're doing concrete reconstruction projects being completed under budget this year. The city was able to add Elizabeth Street to the road program by milling off the asphalt layer of the roadway and completing a concrete base repairs. Once those base repairs are complete, a new 2-inch asphalt layer will be placed on Elizabeth. This project and concrete base work will be taking place the week of October 28th. It's 0.25 miles, and the total construction cost for this is $156,500 approximately. We also did some concrete sectioning. This is where the whole road is not deteriorated, so we just do the bad section. These streets were rated in fair condition in 2018, but deteriorated sections of concrete throughout each street. These were removed and replaced with new concrete. This work was done to prevent further deterioration of the concrete to the point where full reconstruction would be required. Concrete resectioning is far less costly than full concrete reconstruction. This project, we did 2 miles at a total construction cost of $1,398,000. This was done on Alta Avenue from Radcliffe to Farmington, Alvin Avenue from Vinoy to Hubbard, Arcola Avenue from John Hawk to Ford, Beechwood Avenue from Brant to Middlebelt, Belton Avenue from Bach to Ford, Harrison Avenue from Ford to Dawson, Marquette Avenue from Radcliffe to Vinoy. For those that live on Marquette between Cadillac and Vinoy, that has been moved to 2020, next spring. So Cadillac to Vinoy on Marquette will be done next spring. Chip sealing. This is a preventive maintenance technique to extend the useful life of asphalt pavements. Spray patching is being done to fill the potholes and voids within the street, and then a thin chip seal layer placed. And we did 2.8 miles of this at a total cost of $165,000. We did Arcola between Cambridge to James. We did Balmoral from Hubbard to Merriman. We did Belton Avenue from Cambridge to the south of Warren. We did Block Avenue from Hubbard to Merriman. We did Elmwood Avenue from Hubbard to Merriman. We did Garden Avenue, Ford to Maplewood. And we did Hartel Avenue from Ford to Middlebelt. Maplewood, I'm sorry, Hartel from Ford to Maplewood. We received complaints, and you get better each year. This was year one of a 5-year program. I know a lot of residents thought when the chip seal went down the stones, they thought they had a gravel road. They thought that was the final product. It's a 3-step process, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to do. And those have all been completed now, but we need to have better communication next year when we tell the residents of those streets that we're going to do that it's a 3-step process and that the stone chips is not the final process. Then we did spray patching program. This is a relatively inexpensive technique to extend the life of pavements until there's enough funding to complete the reconstruction of those streets. Concrete streets have been addressed to date with this technique. A machine is used to force air to remove loose debris and completely clean out the material from the deteriorated pavement areas, and with the same machine, a hot asphalt emulsion is applied to clean out areas, and a highly quality aggregate is coated with a polymer modified asphalt and forced into the deteriorated area and compacted. We did this on Balmoral Avenue from Garden to Hartel, Central Avenue from Ford to Maplewood, Golf View Avenue from Maplewood to Hawthorne, Harrison Avenue from Maplewood to Warren, Industrial Drive from Vinoy to Hubbard, Marquette Avenue from Merriman to Henry Ruff, Marquette Avenue from Brant to Harrison, and Windsor Avenue from Elizabeth to Henry Ruff. And last but not least, joint and crack sealing. This is a preventative maintenance technique on a good rated streets where the joint and crack sealing is deteriorating or non-existent. Sealant is placed by cleaning out the existing joints, and cracks are filled, installing the new sealant. This keeps the water from getting in there, freezing, and creating potholes. We did 11.25 miles. Total construction cost $225,000. In summary, the total cost of the 2019 road improvement program was $7,383,000. Of this amount, $6,233,000 approximately was from your gas tax, Act 51 money, and $1 million and road bond funding, and $1,150,000 was out of the water fund, and that was to replace the water mains. Again, I want to remind the residents, this is the completion of 1 year of a 5-year program. In the very near future, we will announce the roads for 2020, for the 2020 construction season. So just wanted to recap. We told you we'd keep you informed. We're spending every penny. I know when we asked you to vote for that, people say, yeah, will the money go towards the roads, or will they spend it on something else? We are spending every penny on roads and sidewalks. Sidewalks was part of that project. It was, every penny is spent on roads. So, and I think, like I said, we did 22 miles this year. So we're going to get there and get our roads fixed.
Mayor, do you mind if I add on that real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
While I'm mostly pleased with what's happening with our roads, I am extremely dissatisfied with the performance, or lack thereof, of Cars Construction. I didn't like the work that they were doing before, but a resident sent me Facebook screenshot photos of them on the job in Garden City. They were less than tasteful. They stated they were here to ruin our day and make our property values go down. I do not recommend that company, and I will not vote for them again.
Absolutely. I've seen that too.
Brad, give us a quick update on it.
Mr. Oman, from the DPS Director?
Yeah, I do share in your frustration with Cars Outdoor Services. We met with them last week, pretty much told them they have to go back and do it the right way. We are holding money back until it is done the right way. So if they don't get it done, they won't get paid, so.
And we won't use them next year.
Oh, no, yeah.
You know, and I want to say this to the residents, you know, each year you learn new stuff. You use different contractors, and you find out what the good ones are and the ones we're not going to use again. We find out we need to communicate better in some areas, and we're going to get better each year at this. Nobody likes going through construction. It's a pain. There's dust and cones, and it disrupts traffic and your parking. But the final result, we get our roads fixed. That's the best part of it. But we're not perfect. We're trying to fix the roads as we promised, and we try to get better each year, each construction year. So I will move on now to item 9, public hearing for the 2019-2020 sidewalk replacement program. I'm going to call up Ryan Kern first from Hennessy, our engineering, to speak on this, and then we'll call for the public hearing if any residents want to speak. Sir, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, I think 2 meetings ago now, Council approved to extend GV Cement's contract from this past year's sidewalk replacement program to complete this next year's sidewalk replacement program. This will be, I believe, the 5th year that we've done a sidewalk replacement program here in the city again. We're looking at the area bounded by Maplewood Avenue to the north, Inkster to the east, Middle Belt to the west, and Ford Road to the south. and addressing any trip hazards that exist that are greater than 1 inch. All those locations have been located, they've been marked. All the residents that are affected, or all the property owners that are affected by the sidewalk program have been notified that they're going to be included in the sidewalk replacement program and are invited to tonight's public hearing. Those residents have until the spring of next year, until April of 2020, to do the work themselves if they so choose, to find their own contractor to do the work. And if they do that, they have to pull a permit from the building department and then contact our office as well to make sure, to let us know that the work is done so we can take a look at it, or the building department can take a look at it to make sure that it's been complete, and we can take them off the list. Otherwise, GV Cement will come in on behalf of the city to do the work, and we will invoice those property owners for the work. As part of the public hearing tonight, it's also up to council to decide tonight what to set for the special assessment. When they do get invoiced, they can either pay that in full, or they can put it on their taxes, and it's a special assessment. We're recommending at 5 years at 4% interest, which is the same as that we have done for the past 4 years.
Okay, anybody got any questions for Mr. Kern?
Mayor,
Yep.
who's the one going around and evaluating which sidewalk parts need to be replaced?
Our office, our field staff is inspecting those locations.
Is it different than a couple years ago as far as who's doing it? Because remember, a couple years ago, we had a big problem with, there was places being marked that should not have been marked.
Yes, I did have different staff evaluating the sidewalks this year. So I did have senior inspectors doing the work.
Okay.
And the
Yes.
change, council, we did from last year, from the year before, was there was unlimited number of flags.
Correct.
Per house. That's the squares of sidewalk they call flags. We're at 6, I believe, per
Yeah.
house is the max.
Yeah,
We had a gentleman come to the microphone a year ago when I first got here. He had like 12 to 16, and
so, yeah,
also the cracks in the sidewalk. Original plan a couple years ago was even if there's a crack, which made no sense to me when I saw how bad our roads were. We're worried about a crack in the sidewalk. If it's beveled for a trip hazard, that's one thing, but that's also we're looking for is just cosmetic. Not at this point yet. And we also went from 3/4 of an inch to at least an inch
Right.
as far as a tripping hazard at this point. So we definitely made some changes to last year's plan to this year to be much more efficient for the citizens, as well as get rid of safety hazards and liability for the city.
so the original program that we did the first 3 years, we went through the whole city and addressed trip hazards that were 2 inches or greater. And then at that point, we were directed that we were gonna go back to the city and address all defects, and then that, we did change that, just because, there was so much work to be done in one small area of the city that we went back to, let's just address trip hazards that were greater than 1 inch, and limit it to 6 maximum, 6 flags maximum.
All set, thank you. Okay, anybody wishing to speak on the 2019-2020 sidewalk replacement program? Now's the time to come up. Yes, sir.
My name's John Murray. I live on Lather Street. Obviously, we know the sidewalk program is just a constant flow. I mean, they're deteriorating, stuff like that. My question is there a way that the cost that the citizens get assessed to be put on their tax records so they can write it off in their income tax? I mean, I'm sort of fishing, but it is a cost that is impeded. There's a debate on who's responsible and all that stuff. We need to fix it, and I'm just wondering if there's a way we can help our citizens to go through this to where a little bit of a write-off could help them. I'd like you to look into that for us.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on the sidewalk program?
Similar. I know like 5 years ago, you said Maplewood was done and buried, and then I'm glad that you guys brought that back and actually did it. So thank you very much. Is there going to be opportunity to talk on the cleanup and finishing of Maplewood?
Yes.
Aside from this,
You want
or-
to come up under public comments tonight?
Okay,
Okay?
deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else on the sidewalk program? Okay, I'm going to close that public hearing. Move on to item 10, consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Lynch.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda, items 10A 1 through 6.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. Any comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Move on to our action items. Item 1, the lead water service program. Mr. Doherty.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to give everybody just a quick history on how we got to where we are in reference to the water advisory that was put out a couple of weeks ago. It's well known that government doesn't traditionally walk on private property. So it was this past summer that Michigan court judgment came down that required municipal governments to walk on the people's property, replace lead lines existing between their sidewalk and the basement, which is just unheard of in the past, but it's something that just came up this past summer, and all cities have to deal with it. So again, the rule in the country is never walk on property. Now it is something very unusual, but we're ready to move forward on it because as we started to do our work on Maplewood this past year, as we opened up a number of roads, we found 4 houses on Maplewood Street that actually had lead lines moving to it, to them from the street. So I directed the staff at that time, just replace the 4 lead lines. Now, once we replaced those 4 with the help of Brad and Ryan, Matt, and Brian Smith, we put out a bid for what we could find as far as the number of lead lines in our community, which we found were 71 lead lines. So a few weeks ago, we received the bids from 7 companies, which is what you're looking at tonight. They were added onto this agenda well before we even received the call from the state just 2 weeks ago at this point. So 2 weeks ago, the call comes through from the state that says that we have not failed necessarily, but have elevated levels of lead in 8 houses in our city. We asked 71 of our homes to be tested for lead water. Only 31 of them agreed to be tested. So of the 31, 8 of them came out at a higher level from the new testing that the state just put in place. They would have passed tests in the past, but 8 of them, you could say, failed at this point, the current test. So 70 years, some of these pipes have been in place. 23 homes out of 31 had no issues with the new test, but 8 of them did. So the state says to us, to the city, we don't have a choice. Within 3 days, we must inform 11,600 customers that we have 8 lead lines in our city. Although we explained to them on the phone at the time that we are moving forward with replacing lines, it's on the agenda, we're all set, we're ahead of the game. They said it doesn't matter at this point because of the 8 homes, 11,000 customers have to know that there's something going on, and yet we have to do that within 3 days. So within 1 day, we told everybody, so we were 2 days short of that goal. So again, Garden City is ahead of the issue all the way through. So as you'll see on the monitor, the slide coming up, it should be stated that the city does not have lead water, as some have said. What we have is a limited number of houses that have lead pipes. So the water we use in our homes is the same water that's used all throughout Wayne County, half of Oakland and Macomb County. And more importantly, after the city of Flint's problems, they actually changed over to use the same water as we use. So as the world is watching Flint and seeing what they're doing to make sure they give healthy water to their citizens, they literally are using the same water that we've always used. So that shows again how safe our water is when everybody's watching them now. So homes with anything other than lead pipes, which could be galvanized, copper, plastic, should have nothing to worry about. And on your monitor, you'll notice that the options there. It's about 1952 that lead was no longer being used in homes, but it should be stated that older homes actually may have been used using well water in the past. So when they switched over possibly in the 60s to the city service, they may have changed the copper. So you can't really look at an age of a house and say, well, that's from the 20s, it has to have lead. It may actually have copper at this point. So age of a home is not an indicator, but certainly anything in the 60s, 70s, 80s should have nothing near lead. So if you do have a home that's 40, 50 years old, you're probably in great shape at this point. So as indicated on the monitor again, you can see the lead pipe. It can be scratched to show a shiny silver color, and magnets do not attach to it. So it's usually obvious what your house has if you go into your basement and look at the bottom of the pipe coming in either from the ground or from the wall into your meter. That's the pipe you're looking for, not necessarily the pipe that's running into your walls. That's where, if that's lead, then you need to give us a call. If you're really not sure, you're able to call us at that phone number that's on the screen. That is our Public Works Department. We've had up to 200 calls at this point, and we've actually found about 16 more houses of those 200 at this point. And we assume the 200 people calling are really looking at this and confused, maybe age of pipes, not sure. It might look like it's copper, but we just want to make sure. So that's a good sign. Most other people that have gotten the word out have probably looked and seen that they clearly are not in the lead zone. So what we're trying to basically look at is how does this work? So if you look at the monitor now, you also notice that Water, the simple water system is water's coming into our community, say that bottom line. That's coming in from the main water system somewhere else, which probably passed through a couple of cities before it gets to us. The blue water comes down the main line, then it cuts off at our side streets and works its way into every house, as you'll see by some of the smaller pipes. You'll notice we have a couple of red pipes on there. This is not a street in the city, so it's not worth trying to find which street this is. It's just an example. But if there's a red line, that means they have a lead pipe going into their house. So to put this in perspective, if you live at a house that has a blue line coming to you, you have no lead water coming into your house at all. Once again, it's not lead water. What it is lead pipes going to those couple of homes in the picture on the monitor. And at that point, those are the homes that have either been tested a little positive at this point or not. The other homes should have no issues at all. So you might have a neighbor that has lead pipes and they may have tested wrongly or badly, but you shouldn't have an issue at all because clearly you don't have lead pipes. So hopefully this information will comfort anyone that's still concerned about the issue with the water in Garden City. Of the 8 homes with elevated numbers, due to the new test by the state of Michigan, one of them actually is one of our city employees. They have they're one of the 8 homes. Now, this employee met with me last week to say they've been drinking from the kitchen tap for the past 35 years, and certainly were concerned for their own safety. We talked about the situation I explained as we just discussed here a little bit. She wanted to go to the doctor to get checked for lead poisoning. Smart idea to see what's happening. It's good to say that at this point the tests were great. She came back to say that technically up to 5 parts per billion in your body is satisfactory. She's at 1 part per billion. So she's nowhere near even the concern of not being satisfactory. So this is a city employee now, keep in mind, or it could be anybody in the city, lives in a house with lead pipes, been drinking from the tap pipes for 35 years out of the kitchen, and has failed the test that the state put out, but yet has no lead issues currently with herself. So that's a good positive thing. But in closing, it should be stated once again that although we were given 3 days to let everybody know there's an issue, we only have to replace 7% of the pipes that we know of per year. And I saw some other cities are putting out their information that they're going to replace 7% a year because that's what the state says. So as you look at it, this is how much of a concern and emergency situation this is. We have to look and say, okay, so we informed 11,600 people there's a pipe issue, but it's only 8 that we know of at this point. But we only have to replace 7 a year, so we're looking 7% a year. We're looking at about 20 years. The state gives the city of Garden City 20 years to replace pipes. That really kind of puts it in context of how much of an emergency, is this at this point. So what we've decided, even before the state ever called, we were moving forward with this agenda item to be ahead of the game, replace the pipes once the state said in a judgment that said we need to replace pipes. I couldn't be more proud of how the city has worked, and I think everyone noticed there was a big news piece for a moment, and once all the newscasters themselves, I talked to one just a few days ago, realized that clearly we weren't sitting on this issue or not sure what to do. We would have been done. If the state waited 2 more months before contacting us, we wouldn't have any lead pipes in anybody's home. So it's not city pipes going down the road that are lead, it's actually going into their homes. If your neighbor has lead pipes, it does not affect you whatsoever. And again, the state says you've got 20 years to replace it. Now, and we expect to finish it in the next couple of months. As I mentioned earlier, we found 16 more homes in the meantime, which we expect probably to find a few more here or there. So you have 2 requests in front of you. The first one, B1, is actually the original contract that we bid out for the 71 homes. What we've asked in that first one, B1, is to do the 71 homes, but this contractor also, we're adding 30 on as needed. Now, we know we have 16. We figure in the next 2 months, as the contractor's doing work now for 87 homes throughout the city, that we're probably going to come across a few more as people call. We can add it right onto this contract. So what we're asking you in B1 is contract with this contract, Britigari, and with the idea of the 71 plus 30 more. Well, we know we're already at 87 since we put this agenda together. The second piece, B2, is a separate contract. We had 2 bids that went out. One was do a bulk purchase price, and the other one was doing them somewhat individually. Well, we knew even 2 years from now, some citizen might say, by the way, I never checked, but I have a lead line. Well, it won't be Britigari, the first contractor. It'll be the second contractor, which I believe is D&D Sons. So we're asking the council tonight to do two things. One, just confirm the first company that's going to do everything that we have right now, and then a second contractor who came in at a lower price individually. They didn't come in at the better price for the bulk, but individually they came at a better price. They would be the one we'd contact in, say, March, April, May of next year, that we have 2 here or 4 there. And then we can get those taken care of to make sure that we handle everybody's pipes at one time without having to come back to the council. So 2 contracts at this point.
And we're paying for this out of the water fund?
Yes.
And those who have lead pipes, it's not, doesn't cost the homeowner anything,
It
correct?
will not cost anything additional, and that's by the state law that says we must do it. So anybody that may look at this situation for us or any city around us, and you've seen some more cities that popped up that are all getting hit with the same issue because they're all not failing, but this new test is looking for more issues, whether they exist or not. And I'm sure in the next year, you're going to see a lot more cities.
Yep.
Because one that has not come out yet is Detroit. And, you always always say thank you before asking for more. Well, we're going to fix our pipes, and then my question's going to be, what's up with Detroit?
Yep.
Because there's no way that they don't have a lead issue. Of course, they've got thousands of homes compared to us at this point, so.
I just wanted to put the residents at ease. If you have a lead lead
Yes.
into your house, it's going to be covered by the water fund. It's not going to cost you.
Yes, there's no extra,
for
we're
this
not doing an
repair.
extra bond issue for this whatsoever. We're ready.
Yep.
We were going to put this money into road work next year, underground pipes. So at this point, we have that ability to either fix infrastructure underground or to the people's homes. We're going to do it the safe way and get it done. So no additional fees charged to anybody.
Okay. Motion's in order?
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch?
I move to approve the construction contract for the 2019 lead water service replacement program with Bidigary Contractors of Plymouth, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $376,575, and for the construction service contract with the Buccelli Group of Livonia, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $14,225, and for the construction administrative tasks with Hennessy Engineers of Southgate, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $4,950, for a combined total of $395,750, and to amend the budget to transfer funds from account 592-592-676.000 to 592-593-972.204.
Support, Councilmember Jacobs. Again, for the residents, we received 7 bids on this work. 7 bids, so we did bid it out. Any comments from the table? From the general public?
Mayor,
Councilmember Earl?
just a quick question. On the bid sheet, it's showing Bidigary with 249,075. Can you tell me why there's a difference? Second page.
It's probably the Buccelli and the Hennessy added on.
Is this the increase of the 30 more? That was the original 71.
Oh, that's what,
It was the original 71, and we added 30 now.
okay,
Oh,
all right.
Just for this fall. So we may not need one with the extra 30. But just the,
Any other comments from the table? From the general public? Yes, sir.
Mayor and council, how many homes were there? You said 87?
There's 87 at this point, yes.
Copy. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 2. Councilmember Kerwin.
Motion to approve the construction contract for the 2020 lead water service replacement program with d and D Water and Sewer Incorporated of Canton, Michigan, with the amount being per unit pricing in the bid process.
Support.
Wow. Support from Councilmember Jacobs. Any further comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. Library roof replacement, item 3, I'm going to bring up Mr. Omen, the DPS Director.
Mayor and council, before you tonight is to approve the contract for the replacement of the library portion of the Maplewood Center roof. The majority of the roof was replaced in 2009, but not the library portion. which is about 4,200 square feet. I'm not sure why that roof was not replaced at that time. DPS has been doing multiple repairs through the years, and I think we're at a point now that it's beyond repair. We did get 3 bids for the replacement. This will be a membrane-type roof, similar to what's on the rest of the building, and it comes with a 20-year warranty.
Okay, and for the residents, the library rents that building from the city. That's why the city's paying for the roof. Because a lot of people say, well, the library's got their own board and their own budget, but they rent that space at Maplewood from the city, so the building is our responsibility. Any further comments from the table?
Just
Councilmember Lynch?
quick comment. I think the reason that the library wasn't done is because prior to that many years ago, that used to be the senior center area, and it was replaced at one time using block grant funds. And so they probably figured that it was a newer roof and replaced the rest of it.
Okay.
That didn't get done. That's my guess.
Any further comments from the table? From the general public?
I think you need a motion.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, Mayor?
Councilmember Squires?
Oh, sorry.
Hang on.
Wait, Jen.
You're good there. Go ahead.
Okay. I move to approve the library roof replacement contract with TriStar Roofing and Sheet Metal LLC of Kimball Township, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $27,400, and for the Buccelli Group of Livonia, Michigan, for construction inspection and management services in the amount not to exceed $2,850, for a combined total of $30,250.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Yes, sir, go ahead now.
My question is, the community center's in that area too, right? We have a whole school with Maplewood Elementary. What did we do, just replace part of the roof, and now we have to come back and do the other section? I don't think that's a good construction practice. We should look at doing a complete facility at the same time, because you're going to have imperfections of the merging of that. And in the long run, I think we're better off taking care of a complete facility instead of just partial.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 4, Maplewood Center Manor Park fencing installation. Mr. Ullman, you're up again.
This to approve the contract for the replacement of the Maplewood soccer field fence and a new installation of a fence at the Manor Park soccer field. The fence will be 4 feet high, chain link, and PVC coated. The Maplewood fence was in need of repair, and part of that was taken down during the Maplewood Road construction. The Manor Park fence is a new fence going to be constructed. It would run along the south part of the field. It'll keep balls from going into the drainage ditch. It'll keep kids out of the drainage ditch. Right now, we've been using snow fence. So we brought this to you to put up a brand-new fence to keep the balls and kids on the field.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Motion's in order. Councilmember Kerwin?
I motion to approve the construction contract for the Maplewood Center and Manor Park fencing installation with Kimberly Fence and Supply of Warren, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $37,452, and for the construction inspection and construction management services contract with the Buccelli Group of Livonia, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $1,940, and for the construction administrative tasks with Hennessy Engineers of Southgate, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $750, for a combined total of $40,142.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Earl. Any further comments from the table?
Mayor, I just have a
Councilmember Carr.
question. The Maplewood field actually belong to the school system. So the city's paying for fencing to put up along the school property, correct?
Yeah, we actually, during our construction work, destroyed a third of the fence. You know, when we went in with the trucks and took over the property, replacing that part back and then leaving the rest as it is. When you go by and see it, it's in pretty rough shape. So it was either we pay for it, the replacement, or the school district will pay for the other part of it. So as far as two taxing governments, it's one or the other, so it's a catch-22. But since we do use it as our soccer program, the school district doesn't use it at all. We took it upon ourselves to say that's probably us just to replace the fence.
And I understand, and I actually don't disagree with that. It's just that the city has done quite a bit of work on school property that, through the years, so,
We'll get it back
thank you.
somehow.
Okay, any other comments from the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 5, the Senior Alliance contract amendment.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move to approve the amendment to the Senior Alliance fiscal years 2020 through 2022 contract for services to the aging and authorize the Director of the Community Resource Department to execute the amendment.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Squires. I'm going to call up Monica Fulton, the Director.
Hi, thank you. This is an amendment that we just received from the Senior Alliance for the contract that just began October 1st. The amendment includes some additional language on additional insurance required, some background check requirements that we need to do, not only for the staff directly, but for the subcontractors that actually provide the programs, as well as some compliance issues that we need to assure them that we're complying with, is particularly anti-lobbying, the Anti-Lobbying Act and Whistleblower Protection Act for federal funding. So I think we are still waiting.
Council, we're currently having the attorney review this, so although we're asking for approval now because it's timely, we won't move forward until the attorney gives the final approval it's in compliance with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is pending the approval of the attorney?
Yes. And I'd like to add that into my motion.
Okay. Is it second okay with that, too? Okay. Any further comments from the table, from the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 6, lot split of parcel 35004990001-001. Mr. Miller.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is a request for the property owner at 6012 Hubbard Street. He has a large parcel of land there in the M1 zoning district, and he's making a proposal to take that 3.39 acres and make 4 parcels out of that, approximately, a little less than an acre each. It does meet all of the requirements for a lot split, and we do make a recommendation for the approval. He just came in to make the request. He is proposing to sell off the smaller lots for development. He doesn't have anybody on board yet, but he feels that if he could make 2 more developable parcels, he owns both buildings on the lot now, but if he can make 2 more developable parcels, he would like to do so to expand the industrial district there.
Okay. Motion's in order.
Mayor?
Councilmember Squires.
I move to approve lot split at 6012 Hubbard, parcel number 35-004-99-0001-001.
Support. Support from Councilmember Jacobs. Any comments from the table? From the general public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 7, amend traffic control order. I'm going to call up Chief Tim Gibbons. Police Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Yes, we've had some concerns from citizens over traffic safety in the area of Florence between Middle Belt and Central. As you're aware, this is a location of Florence Park and a Tipton Academy campus. So since the beginning of the school year, we've been studying the area in order to make it safer for both pedestrian traffic from the park and from the school and vehicular traffic. It gets pretty crowded around drop-off and pickup. In addition, we have our own city park right there. So we've been trying to take enforcement action, high visibility there. We still haven't really been able to remedy our concern, which is the safety of the pedestrians, particularly the children and the parents using Florence to pick their kids up or to attend the park. So we identified 2 traffic control devices, orders that we believe would make it safer. One is a stop sign for Florence, east and west at Central. This will make entering onto Florence from Central safer, and for anyone crossing at the park during the marked crosswalk there, safer. As well as traffic control order to stop stopping and standing or parking on Florence on the south side along the Tipton campus, which is where a lot of our problems are caused. There's just such an overwhelming amount of cars there. And without the ability to enforce no parking there, no stopping and no standing, we kind of limits our ability to impact the area. So both of these we believe will make Florence safer.
Okay. Motion's in order. Councilmember Jacobs.
I move to approve the attached amendment to Garden City Traffic Control Order Number 141, adding a stop sign on Florence at Central in both directions. To approve the attached Traffic Control Order Number 470, adding no stopping, standing, parking signs on the south side of Florence from Middle Belt Road to a point 450 feet east.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Kerwin. Any comments from the table? From the general public? Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to say thanks to the Garden City Police Department for getting on this matter in a timely manner. One thing I'd like to add is they have painted walkway from the park to the corner of Florence and Central. We'd like to add also a painted walkway opposite from across Central, because that's also a walkway that the kids use right there also. So we're looking to get that done too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, is she coming up?
No.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? She faked me out.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 8, a resolution for necessity of sidewalk program. We already had discussion on this in our public hearing. Motion is in order.
Mayor?
Councilmember Lynch.
I move to approve the determination of necessity for the 2019 to 2020 sidewalk program.
Support.
Support, Councilmember Earl. Any comments from the table? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. At this time, we'll move to public comments. These are for items that were not on the agenda. If you wish to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name.
Good evening, guys. My name is Anthony Leitz. Last time I was here was last year, speaking on the same matter I'm going to bring up. So, Saturday, November 23rd, myself and my teammates from the Garden City Gold Wings, that was a hockey team throughout the years here in Wayne Firebirds, will be holding our 10th annual Wings on Fire Winter Classic in honor of Robbie Spellman. He was a huge, I would call public figure here in Garden City growing up. Everyone knew him. Everyone loved him. He had cerebral palsy growing up, passed away a week after high school graduation, 2010. When he passed away, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome was another condition that was shown that he had during his life. So there's two kind of things I'm going to talk about real quick because I have a hockey game I got to catch. But this year we're going to be raising funds for human trafficking. My family's nonprofit, Another Day Resource Center, based in Farmington Hills. We do a lot of work with families, impoverished in the Southfield, Detroit area, and of course, all pretty much Wayne, Oakland County. We provide free services, so Postal Board of Counseling for women who struggle with that, Earn As You Learn programs for young mothers that need formula, diapers. We have a food pantry, a clothing area, kind of like a mini Goodwill or something like that. So we'll be producing content that addresses human trafficking. It's pretty bad here in Michigan, and it's not too far from our community. This is my first year in the last 5 that I don't teach at Douglas Elementary anymore. So when you break down the statistics and you see just how many children are involved in this, it's pretty eye-opening and heartbreaking, knowing that, especially when you work around young children. So a lot of our funds will be going toward that, to produce content to fight that battle. Just this week, we decided, or we come to an agreement that this year's guest of honor is going to be Liam Fairbanks. He's a young man that's been fighting brain cancer these last 2 years. I don't have too much more information on the diagnosis and the type of tumor he has, but we'll be, raising some funds to, give him some sort of Christmas gift this year. A lot of his time is spent in the chemo center and radiation, and we're just looking to make his holiday a little brighter. And then the third cause we'll be raising funds for is the GCYA hockey program. This year, I believe, is their first year where they have an all-girl team at, I don't know if it's 2 levels, but I do know they have a lot of girls playing on one of the teams. So for me, that's a huge goal, because, working with these kids the way I did these last 5 years, more as a assistant, the principal, the counselors, the teachers, I got to see the kids in a different light. They've grown so much. My oldest class now is freshmen in high school, and to see them, becoming standout citizens, right? They're not just little kids anymore. They're real awesome people and individuals. So we're going to be raising funds. Myself and some of my teammates, we're going to donate, hopefully multiple weekends where we can run a hockey clinic free of charge to the Garden City Youth Hockey Program, and work out a deal with them to have ice provided, and we'll do that. So that's Wings on Fire. We're going to have a lot of hometown sponsors there. Cartwright's a big one. CHI, they recently moved to Wayne, but Mr. Bowen Wagner, he's the principal at Douglas, and he helps every year. So we're big on hometown companies. And then the second one is, I just wanted to ask you guys who I may talk to. This past year, we produced a short film, 30-minute film on Robbie Spellman, and sold out the first showing of that, and had a second one. And it's just about his life and the New York Yankees. We had a dinner held at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Canton, and we raised over $600 in the first night. I mean, it's not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but just kind of last-minute thing. I thought we did fairly well. We've reached an agreement with the GCYA where they will donate bleachers and a plaque to the baseball field on Memorial. I was going to give you guys these papers, and then I can say our website so people watching can check it out, where they can find the video we produced on the field. The field there, it's not really a field. It's just basically open land. And we're, presenting to the school district, which has been a frustration, but I've kept it at bay. I've had a lot of other things I've had to worry about lately.
You have 15 seconds, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're wanting to, do that free of charge. We're not asking anything of the school district. So just, kind of want to know who I would talk to in regards to that to get this
Leave your name with
process.
Mr. Miller.
Yeah, to get this process going.
We'll
So
get somebody
thank
to
you
back
for
up.
your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else? Sergeant Shippey and Officer Culver from the GCPD in their civilian clothes.
Good evening. Yes, we're here on our own time today.
Yep.
Mayor and council, members of our community. As you know, my name is Bruce Shippey, and I am representing the Garden City Police Department Command Officers Union today. I just wanted to take a brief minute of everybody's time and remind them that we have coming up something very important November 5th. That is the renewal of our police and fire millage. So our voters will get an opportunity to have their voice heard, and we're asking that they vote yes for that renewal. And I thought it was important to provide you with a little bit of information for those that might not have been here during this time when all of this originated. But if we look back to the 2011 era, our community was faced with the loss of 2 pretty big incomes for us, and that was property taxes and estate shared revenue. That was going to result in some pretty devastating effects to our police and fire budget. And in particular, we were looking at laying off 18 people if this millage did not pass. We presented it to the public, and they, with overwhelming success, said they wanted us to continue with the levels of service we provide, and they wanted to provide a dedicated funding for the police and fire department. In 2015, that millage was back up again for a renewal, and once again, the public stated that they wanted us to continue. They did not want an effect to their police and fire services. So that's what brings me here today. 2020, the renewal is up again, and it's on the November 5th ballot for voters to come out and vote. So we hope you take a hard look at that. We hope you continue to have a desire for the levels of service that you've grown accustomed to, and you can express your voice by coming out on the 5th of November and voting yes for this.
Hi, Council. I'm Nathan Culver. I'm here on my own time. I'm the president of the Garden City Police Officers Association Union. I'm here to reiterate what Bruce Shippey says is about the millage and the importance that we have. Without it, we could lose up to 9 police officers due to layoffs. It's also important to realize that we continue to provide the city with a continuous service, and we have an average response time to police runs under 4 minutes. And we'd just like to invite everybody out to November 5th. Once again, it's a renewal. It's not an increase on your guys' taxes, and that's just to provide the same services that you guys have today. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Anybody else? Mr. Molnar.
Yeah, I thank the police and firemen, and I'm sure that'll pass. And I'll give the police chief and the fire chief a little to-do list there, just make sure that nothing gets cut because of the extra money coming in. I still expect you guys to give them full funds, and that's extra for backup, and I'd hate to see anything cut. I don't want you to be like the states, you know, pass the lottery and cut everything else out. The other millages, I don't know, I've got a problem with all of them, but it's just me probably. Library's going to double their funding from $500,000 to $1 million. Promise you a library in 10 years. That library board more than likely be gone. I'm probably a minority on that one, but that's the way it is. I just see, and there's nothing guaranteeing the money's going to be there anyway. They can spend the money any way they want to for the next 10 years and come up 10 years and say, sorry, we had to do this and we had to do that. There's no guarantee on it. The school millage, that one I really got a problem with because they're going to ask for another bond come summer anyway. And that money was supposedly to get caught up on maintenance. And this is going to be the third time, I think, a total of $15 million, and they still haven't caught up on maintenance, and they're going to ask for a bond in May, I think, for maintenance of the buildings or whatever they call it. But they just had $15 million. They should be caught up now. I don't know what happened to their maintenance program when they got the stuff, if they just quit and was using all that money for that or not. But I don't see it because, like I said, they've had $15 million. They should have at least caught up on their infrastructure and maintenance, but now they're going to come out with a bond, and I just don't see it. And I don't see, I'll quit, that's enough.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's, I live at Maplewood and Craig, a corner, so I was ground zero and got to stare at those guys for more time than I wanted to. Should I just type up a list of things, or do you want me to kind of go over things that?
I think I've talked to you already. I talked to your neighbor.
Probably.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mason?
Paul?
No, Mr. Mason lives right behind him, but
Okay.
I talked to Ryan Kern, and he's going to be making some repairs.
Okay.
The pond and then the ruts from the, and the grass from the.
The ruts, and
yeah.
so when they finished the Maplewood side where it meets Craig, all that's in there is just dust and dirt from all their trucks.
Okay.
So I've been over there with a leaf blower for the last couple months because I'm trying to get that dust off the road. They never used a brush to come sweep Craig. When you clean off Craig, it's just cracks.
All right.
They,
Leave
their
a
equipment
list,
everything.
and we'll
Okay.
give it to Mr. Kern, and
Okay.
we'll definitely look
Okay.
into it.
Good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Like I mentioned earlier, we're holding, accountable for the warranty work, and so we'll get it right. Anybody else? Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Mike Jones, Donnelly and Garden City. Just a couple of quick things. First of all, I'd like to offer my kudos to the Garden City Parks and Recreation and the Garden City Business Alliance on a fantastic trunk or treat program this last week. I don't have a count on how many people went through there, but it was in four figures, it's for sure, there were thousands. And our police department, they helped, participated, and that gets me to the second comment that I want to make. We have about a 3-minute response time from our fire and police departments. And I really would like to support the concept of we need to renew, not a new charge, but renew that public service millage so we can maintain the quality of life we have with those two departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? City managers report.
Well, council, just want to thank you for passing the contractors tonight for the lead water. It's just, once again, shows excellent community we are and jumping on things that are needed. So appreciate it. That's
Okay.
it.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, this evening I do have one announcement, of course, to piggyback off of the public comments. Next Tuesday, November 5th, is Election Day. Polls open at 7 a.m., close at 8 p.m. The clerk's office, we've been working the last couple weeks. We've been very busy to make sure everything goes smoothly. I just want to encourage everyone to exercise their right and to come out and vote. We're ready for you. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Earl.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one very quick question first on the chip seal. What's the estimated life expectancy for the chip seal? I was trying to...
They say 7 to 10 years, but we have some that are 10 to 12 years, at least at this point.
So if it's only 2, do they have to come back out and repair it on them?
I'm
Is
not
there...
sure what the 2-year warranty at this point.
So if it only lasts 3 years, then it's on us?
Possibly.
Okay.
It was a real low cost way to go, as we talked about a few times. We're looking at roads that cost about $1 million for a road. We spent about $800,000 on 15, 20 miles of chip seal. So basically what it's taken us from is potholes and ankle breakers to, it still has kind of a rough feel because it's obviously still stone, but it wasn't an expensive solution. What we've talked about a little bit today was on some of those thoroughfares where we did the chip seal, we now have a solid hard base of possibly coming through with 1.5 inches of asphalt. On top of that, Ryan and I were talking today about it of, since we're not doing underground or any other work, how much would that be for some of maybe a Hartel or a Garden, some of those pass-through roads, as opposed to some of those side roads really are just for homes at this point where there's not a lot of traffic. So we may look to add a fourth step to that process of some of those heavier used roads. But certainly when you ride on some of those roads and you get off on the ones that haven't been touched, you remember how bad those other roads were. Pretty rough.
Okay, thank you. And the only thing else I have is to my wife, Darcy, happy birthday today. I promise that I will be home sometime today. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you better. You'll be in trouble.
That's right.
Councilmember Squires.
Just want to congratulate the American Legion on attaining 100 years, and on the auxiliary also. They do quite a bit in our community, and a good group of people. And it was nice to see so many come out tonight. And also, just please get out and vote on Tuesday, November 5th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jacobs.
Yeah, I have a couple things. With the gentleman on the Maplewood project, I know on Craig down by Balmoral, there's work, so I hope Mr. Kern looks at that, and along with that, probably really long list that we have for that. This Thursday is Halloween, so slow down, be careful of all the kids out there. They're not always the best at watching, crossing the street and such, so take extra time, make sure you're careful, keep an eye out for the trick-or-treaters. The Community Shred Day, again, a piggyback off of Mr. Miller. It's a great event for getting rid of old bank statements, things that you don't want to just throw away in the garbage. I know that you need to put them in a paper bag or a cardboard box. You can get the cardboard box back, but they won't take the plastic bags. So if you throw them in plastic, they just end up getting thrown away anyways. It's easier for all the workers if you put them in paper or cardboard. And also come in off of Central Avenue, and you must be in line by 12:45 for that, and there's usually a lot of people. And the final thing is exercise your rights on Tuesday. Get out there and vote for the candidates and the proposals that you want, and let your voice be heard. And that's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Lynch?
Yes. On Saturday, before you go to Shred Day, I want you to go to the Garden City High School. They're having their mom-to-mom sale. It starts at 9 o'clock a.m. until 1 o'clock p.m. Early bird is at 8:30, and that's a charge of $2. Other than that, it's a charge of $1. They said they have over 50 tables, they have a large item area, and a bake sale and food. So start there at the mom-to-mom sale, move on to the community shred day, and even if you don't have something to shred, feel free to bring some sort of non-perishable item for the food pantry. You can drop that off right there, and then you can go home and enjoy the rest of the day. And as others have said, don't forget to vote on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kerwin?
If you get a chance, go see the skeletons on review at the Straight Farmhouse. This is a free event with a chance to win some prizes, now until the 30th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. My daughter and I went last night. It's excellent. They even have little cards with superstitions on them, like where Knock on Wood came from or Saved by the Bell. It was kind of fun to go see all that. Also, I saw that the library on Halloween is giving out candy and a bookmark to the kids. I know that the weather is probably not going to be the best, so if you have little ones, that might be a good place to go. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember McCarge?
Adding on to the Historical Museum, my mother and I attended their first murder mystery night. It was a live mini play. It was fabulous, and they're going to try to do, it's a fundraiser for the museum, and they're going to try to do one again in December or January, and I certainly would encourage anyone to attend, because it was really, really fun. So not too scary, but a lot of fun. And as the mayor mentioned, this is my last full meeting, and Councilwoman Kerwin asked me, if I was, sad to be leaving, and and my answer was no. I have worked for the city from the time I was 12 for 50 years, and yeah, they don't hire you at 12 anymore. But working at the pools. I attended a lot of meetings as a supervisor or Parks and Rec director, a lot of, council meetings, and some of them were pretty interesting. And then to be a member of the council has been an honor. I really do appreciate the people who voted for me to be in office, that took the time to vote, and I really appreciate the people who've come up to me on the street or when I'm at meetings and say, hey, we appreciate your comments, we appreciate what you're doing. And I do appreciate the ones who have come up and said, we don't agree with you. And at least we can get a conversation going. Being on council, the majority of the time is pretty, I don't want to say easy, because we have a huge amount of reading to do, but it's a lot of grunt work. The other 10-20% is not fun, because we have to make decisions that affect the community, and we try to make the best decisions. Looking down at the members of this council, do I think that any of us have ever done anything other than the best that we could? I don't, and I haven't agreed with everyone here, but do I think that our disagreement was because they were bad? No, I think the disagreement was because we disagreed. Our facts, we read them all different, or our experiences were different, but it's not an easy job up here. I do want to make, the mayor and I have had our moments that we haven't agreed, probably not so much in, at a meeting. But I will have to tell you, we have the roads because his tenacity. I can remember, he was like a bulldog. He was not going to let the roads go. He was going to get these darn roads done, and he did not let it go. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Well, Mayor, it happened, and I have to give you,
Thank you.
the Bulldog Award for that one, so.
Thank you.
I won't be on council. I will be continuing to be involved in the community. Maybe that's why I'm not so sad, because I'm going to be involved still in the Garden City Kiwanis, the Garden Club. I've been asked to help with the 4-H group over at Maplewood. The Historical Museum has been bugging me because I've been around so long, they figured I recognize a lot of the historical people. But mainly, stepping back at this point, I have a wonderful mother. Hi, Mom. She said she was going to stay up and watch me, that I would like to spend more time with. My mom turned 96 this year, and yes, I brag on her all the time. She's very active. We play Rummy Cube, and she does not like to lose. But I want to spend more time with her. I think the mayor mentioned, I was in California for almost a month enjoying the birth of my youngest, my third granddaughter. So yes, I want to travel out to sunny and smoky California. So, but again, I really would, just one more quick comment. I'd like to thank the many volunteers who have that continue to make this community what it is, like Trunk or Treat. All those trunks were from volunteer groups. And then, and the staff. Hey, I was one of you guys, I know, and you guys just are the unsung heroes, between the staff and the volunteers. Good for you. I have a lot of respect for all of you. So anyway, with that, thank you for allowing me your time, and you'll see me around just as a volunteer and up in front of the microphone instead of back here. So again, thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, I got a few things. I want to thank all those for the Trunk or Treat, Garden City Business Alliance. It was a great event. And also, this is our first meeting we've had since the chili cook-off. The chili cook-off, congratulations to the DDA and all the volunteers for the chili cook-off, the car show, the motorcycle. It was another great event, our 12th annual. Great events in this town, put on by a lot of volunteers. Congratulations to Coach Jim Baker and Garden City varsity and JV football team for great seasons. They worked hard, they played their hearts out, and congratulations to all of them on a great season. Shred Day this Saturday. The best bag to use is those brown leaf bags. You can throw a lot of stuff in there and it grinds up them as well as all your paperwork. So that's the best bag to use, is the brown leaf bags.
Who's going to lift it?
You don't have to fill it all the way to the top. And then this is our last meeting before Veterans Day, November 11th, at 11 a.m. at the O'Leary Auditorium. Come out and support our veterans for Veterans Day ceremony, Monday, November 11th at 11 a.m. at the O'Leary Auditorium. And congratulations, Councilmember McCarge, on all your years of service to this city, and wish you all the best. The residents, please vote on November 5th. Exercise your right. I can't tell you how to vote, but I can tell you we have an excellent police and fire department, excellent response times. You may want to take that into account when you go to vote. With that, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Ryan Kern, can you get with Mr.